I want to build a stronger community, have fun and meme in the chat, and just shoot the shit.
Do you like lollies?
Yes. Oh no! But not like that. Either pay to view those files. If you show that you didn't spend money on it, you're good. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, then yeah, we're good. Then we're actually good. If that's the case, we're actually good. Because I didn't spend any fucking money on that shit. I literally immediately deleted it. Click couples and it won't open if it's deleted. Okay, well, I 100% fucking deleted it, so it shouldn't open, right? It opened, what?
The chuds are gonna love this. My last video had so many incels in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on the video though. I did not expect to get that many views and that much love, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's talk about a Gooner today. A Gooner's so addicted to hentai that it got him into some pretty deep trouble. Lacari is a Twitch streamer who normally streams video games, but is sometimes seen doing IRL streams with friends and exes. This streamer is 36 years old and has been around since the beginning of Twitch. Now, when I say the beginning of Twitch, I don't mean like he was around when Justin TV was a thing, but he first started streaming about 1 year after the fact Justin TV evolved into Twitch TV, which was in 2012. So it's fair to say that he's been around since the beginning, relatively speaking. Lacari not only got partnered on the same year he started streaming, but actually he got partnered on the same month he started streaming. It was easier times. But man, he's done well for himself ever since, living his dreams as a content creator and making an exceptional amount of money doing so. Life was looking good for Lacari until January 22nd of this year. The Notepad Incident of 2026 occurred.
K feeds. Let me at least add a way to the list of champions that I like. Fuck?
That was a very boring clip, I know. But all you have to know is that Lacari was attempting to add something to his notepad and accidentally showed his porn links. These links would have been funny to laugh at if they were just some regular schmegular stuff like, I don't know, hog, ebony, milfs. Shout out to my milfs, dude. But it wasn't just that. We saw things like, now they're not gonna start off as like, oh dude, that's crazy, but it gets worse and worse. All right, give me a second. But we saw things like enticing 19-year-old, jailbait, family nudity, full rare collection. I don't know what that entails, but it was in there, so I thought I'd add it. Teen sites, lolicons, and finally, girls and animals porn. Yeah. When Lacari leaked his notepad, his community started doing some searching and they discovered this very disturbing material within the megalink. When his community started bashing him and asking him for answers, Lacari started to make excuses. He blamed malware from the porn that he was downloading, giving him access to different places that contained more disgusting stuff. I am no expert on viruses, but I don't think they do that. According to the denizens of Reddit, that is not something that would be on a virus. Nonetheless, Lacari states to this day that he does not consume CSAM. Disturbing content like this being found in the link is corroborated by Lacari's own words.
Oh, a text document. Oh, then you're not.
With the link in it.
It's not that bad. Did you click the link?
Yeah, I checked the link and then I saw it was like bad and then I deleted the fucking the TXT.
Obviously, this is not content we can see, so I need to take evidence from others' accounts to make a just conclusion. In the third paragraph, Lacari states, "The link gave access to abusive material for anyone to see. This is serious and harmful. I recognize that trivializing abusive material on stream is not okay and can lead to real harm. It's my responsibility to provide a safe space for my community and peers in which I failed to do so." At this Future Geo here. I wanted to clarify that Lacari replied to his own apology several days after the fact. In the response, he says that he's only into 2D hentai and does not watch real-world porn. More importantly, he says that the files were looked into and found no illegal material in them. This is a very bold claim because the police and FBI were never involved. Under US federal law, it is not only possession or distribution that can be criminal. The law also covers knowingly accessing with intent to view material involving minors in sexually explicit depictions. You should never, I can't stress this enough, ever attempt to investigate suspected CSAM links to verify them. It is illegal in many cases to do so, and you are just re-abusing the children in the photos or videos. I cannot take Lacari's statement here as fact, as there are many people on Reddit saying the opposite. Some people are apparently finding CSAM in the links. Who do I trust? Lacari should have gone to law enforcement to verify this for him. At this point, it's not looking good for the man. He was getting flamed for hours after he leaked the notepad. I don't know why, but for some reason he felt compelled to continue his stream. It seems like he thought he could just move on and put it all behind him, but for hours, I mean hours, I think he continued for like 5 hours or something. People just kept calling him a pedophile up to the point he ended stream. After he ended stream, he attempted to take his opinions on the matter to social media. He ended up making things a lot worse for himself. So then obviously he noticed he was getting a lot of backlash. He actually made an apology, as I showed you earlier. Lacari really only apologized for the way he handled the situation on stream, nothing else. In the second paragraph, he states, "I decided to keep streaming in an effort to downplay the severity of the situation, which was deceptive. This was a mistake that I deeply regret and apologize for." Doesn't really apologize for anything else. He did at least state that CSAM material is bad and that he does not consume it. He also stated that he was taking steps to help with his porn addiction because he realized that it was getting out of hand. Maybe this is a hot take, but in my opinion, if the porn you're watching is starting to get mixed with CSAM material, you might be too far gone. After the apology, Lacari disappears like the Avatar. A 5-month time skip happens and then Lacari returns to streaming. On June 13th, Lacari boots up his first stream and he starts it off by tackling the controversy he was in almost half a year ago. This stream was just slightly over 9 hours long. It was a fat stream, and his response portion in this 9-hour long stream was a measly 5 minutes long. I think it was like 5 minutes and 22 seconds to be exact. Honestly, might be the shortest apology I've ever seen. During his response, he obviously cried and he spoke about where he has been and what he has been doing. He said that he's been trying to better himself while on this hiatus. The way he's been trying to better himself during the hiatus was by taking a 30-day outpatient program to help with his addiction, and he has even been seeing a therapist ever since. He said some interesting things as well, like going on a keto diet with his mom and working out with his nephews. Really pointless stuff, but I found it funny because it didn't really fit the serious conversation. But most importantly, Lacari wanted to prove his innocence. So he shared a forensics report with the whole class. He hired a, in my opinion, sketchy private investigation firm called Exhibit A Computer Forensics to do exactly what their title states, to perform a forensic examination on his computer. Well, let me not put words in his mouth.
So,
I submitted all of my hardware to Exhibit A Computer Forensics for a full independent investigation. As you can see, the report is on the screen now. The key finding is that no illegal material was found on any of my devices. If you guys want access to the report and the FAQ that comes along with it, you can type !forensics in the chat.
I want to be clear here. I am not accusing Lacari of consuming CSAM, but I will be sharing inconsistencies in his story and concerns that I may have with this report. There's a helicopter. Lacari stated that he submitted all of his hardware and that all of his devices were checked for illegal content.
I submitted all of my hardware to Exhibit A Computer Forensics for a full independent investigation. The key finding is that no illegal material was found on any of my devices.
We are already starting off with a lie, because the report specifically states that there was only one item submitted, a Starforge Freyren gaming PC. That is the only evidence item they have. I am not a big fan of starting off with this exaggeration already for his response, because he knows it sounds better to those who may be illiterate, which is probably the majority of his Twitch chat, to be honest. After stating what he did and showing us the first page, I don't even remember if it was all of the first page that he showed us, but after he did that, he didn't continue to cover the report. He just showed the first page and then gave his community access to the report so they could view it for themselves. I commend him for this, and we'll be covering it in a bit. But before we go there, the last couple of things he said in his statement were about his addiction problems. I want to add this because it's important for inconsistencies that I find in the report later on. He said he would download copious amounts of hentai games and play about 20 of them in one night. Yeah, that's an addiction, all right. What the fuck? And that's basically all of his statement. It is very short. He takes a 2-minute break to cry off camera, then continues to stream for about 9 hours like nothing ever happened. His community seems to accept them, and like most of the Twitch chat was just saying, "Oh, we never really cared about it, yada yada." But which is strange to say, you don't care about CSAM material being found in the streamer that you're watching's PC, but nonetheless, I guess his community accepting him back is good for him as long as he is innocent. Actually, before we move on to the report, I wanted to add my subjective opinion on his response. Maybe it's just me, but his crying seemed a bit fake. I did see at least one tear, so there was that, but his mannerisms seemed very odd to me. Perhaps he's just autistic, but I could not find any evidence online of him being on the spectrum, besides my own eyes. Anyway, on to the report. The best way to cover this report is starting from the top. Lacari has already made all of this public, so I won't be censoring anything in the document. We already went over the fact that the forensic examination report was only for one device, unlike what Lacari wants us to believe. I also don't know if there is a team behind this report. The document states that the examiner Stephen Scott Broderhausen, hopefully I said that last name correctly, and the firm Exhibit A Computer Forensics. I'm going to assume the team is the rest of the firm. I'm assuming there's a team because I don't think this report would have been possible with one person in such a short time period. Finally, the report finished on May 13th. Actually, before moving on, I did want to add this. Even though the report tells us that Lacari submitted one PC, there is no evidence that both Lacari and the report gives us that lets us safely evaluate that this PC that is being examined is the PC that he was using on January 22nd. He's a rich man. He's a rich gamer. It's hard for me to believe that he only has one PC. It's just strange to lie about the fact that he gave all of his devices to the firm when we have access to the examination that states otherwise? Unless he actually met all of his devices and he only has one device. We see monitors behind him in the corner of his room, in his streaming room, but we don't see a PC, so maybe he just has some long wires and monitors over there. I don't know why, but he has something going on. It's hard for me to say that he only has this one device, and obviously saying he submitted all of his devices. I don't know, to me, I picture giving your phone, giving your laptop, giving your tablets. With this lie on the table, how can I be sure that this is the PC in question? Let's assume that this is the PC in question. So let's move on. The next section is titled Request. I'm not going to be reading everything verbatim because that would take too long, but I'll be showing everything on screen for you to read if you want. The request section basically explains that Lacari submitted his PC on April 10th, and the examination is specifically looking for illegal or prohibited content on the system due to what occurred on January 22nd. What I am about to say is not indicative of tampering, but it definitely leaves room for speculation. The incident occurred on January 22nd, and Lacari submitted his PC on April 10th. That's months after the incident happened. It's not easy to wipe evidence on your PC with no trace, but from my understanding, it's not impossible. So we can't rule that out. When I say it's not easy, I mean it's really hard. So to be fair, Lacari might not be capable of doing so, but this is a valid concern people have. The next section is just a summary of everything they did. I will admit, they go pretty deep on how they examine the PC. In conclusion, they state that no evidence of the alleged disturbing content was present in any recoverable location. Okay? Next up, we have their forensic process. They get pretty impressive here by telling us that they were able to copy the main drive at the forensic level and thoroughly search it using some very advanced tools. This is going to be the first and only time that the report is going to tell us what they're examining, the primary drive. They also state that this is a hard drive, which is very strange for a rich gamer to have their primary drive as a hard drive. We also don't know how many drives Lacari has on this PC. My friend Murphy is not a computer forensics engineer, but his previous jobs and his current job have him handle or had and have him handle computers. So he was very familiar with all the computer jargon used in the document. He helped me understand some terms and even played devil's advocate for a bit. He told me that imaging a primary drive is fair, but not necessarily thorough. It is fair because anything weird found on the primary drive would indicate weird stuff happening in other drives, because Windows is what stores browser artifacts, downloads, etc. But just because the primary drive is clear does not mean that the other drives on the PC are as well. And because of this, I cannot accept that this is a fully comprehensive report. Perhaps they did check the other drives, if there even are any, but that's the problem. The report doesn't give us any evidence that there are more, or if they even checked more. And the strange reporting doesn't end here. Moving on to the forensics analysis, you will notice a trend, starting with the memory and system files. I won't bore you with what this stuff means, but these files that store information were both created on February 26th at approximately 10:07 to 10:08 p.m. Remember that date. Before moving on, I wanted to say how fucking stupid it is to say that these files were subjected to keyword searches. I think keyword searching is a great way to get started, but kind of ridiculous if it's your only form of searching. Is that a hot take? Nonetheless, they found no illegal content with their super thorough keyword search. Thank God. I hope you remembered that date. The examiner found no volume shadow copies predating February 26. Interesting. That was the same date that the memory and system files were created. The examiner wants us to know that this is regular Windows behavior on this system. That statement is technically correct because the entire system volume information folder and related system files were reset on February 26th. Timeline analysis, and we can't forget their ultimate weapon, keyword searches, revealed no indicators of deliberate anti-forensic activity. If that is the case, then what is happening? A Windows update? Well, lucky for us, they tell us in the next section. CCleaner activity. On February 26th, 2026, between 9:46 p.m. and 9:47 p.m., the user visited the official CCleaner.com website and downloaded both CCleaner standard version and Specky version 1.33. These downloads occurred approximately 20 minutes prior to the recreation of pagefile.sys and hyperfill.sys and the system volume information reset. No evidence was found that CCleaner was used to perform advanced wiping or destruction of evidence. So you're basically telling me that all this information getting deleted before February 26 has zero correlation to CCleaner and Specky being downloaded 20 minutes before the recreation of these files? Get the fuck out of here. I also want to state that advanced wiping is one of many subjective terms they will use in this document. This firm can just put whatever they want under that definition and just say everything else is fine. The next part is why I believe that this examiner must have a team. The image and media review portion says that they manually searched through 250,000 images and nothing illegal came up. This would simply be impossible for one man to do in a month. But nowhere on this report or even their website talks about a team. It's all about Scott, whatever the fuck his name is. So I'm kind of assuming here. Otherwise, that's another huge problem because there's no way if Scott was working on his own on this that he manually searched through 250,000 images in 1 month. No, you didn't. The additional artifact location section explains that a lot of very important locations like browser caches and download history were examined. Great stuff here. But then they decided to do so with their ultimate attack. Fucking keyword search, bro. They be ulting off cooldown, man. But this first portion of this section isn't what grinds my gears. The second paragraph says that their very legit device, Magnet Forensics Axiom, I've looked it up, has a built-in adult content detector and that automatic search came up empty. Let me stop you right there. You're telling me once again that the Gooner who plays copious amounts of hentai games, the Gooner who had a bunch of porn links on his notepad, the Gooner who admitted to downloading porn, it's 2026, why are we doing that, has no adult content on his PC? I'm at a loss for words. That is simply impossible. I need to calm down. The final section is technically important. The examiner was able to access windows.old directory for more ntuser.dat hive information. I know that's fucking, it means nothing to you, but the issue here is that they failed to give us any dates, so I do not know if it goes back before February 26. Like everything else seems to have stopped on February 26. They didn't say anything about this one. This report has so many issues. I feel like a teacher grading someone's work. Unfortunately, this report just left me with so many questions. But fortunately for us, they do have a separate document that is an FAQ over this document, over this examination. Let's check it out. The first question covers the February 26 reset of all the files and the concern that Lacari could have deleted information. The examiner specifically states that no signs of intentional data destruction was found and that these files resetting is common Windows behavior. I'm not gonna call them liars here because that is technically true, but without telling me what caused these files files to reset because doing a forensic analysis on a computer would give you that information, then you are basically asking me to ignore the evidence that is in front of my eyes. CCleaner and Specky were downloaded 20 minutes before the hard reset of all these files. You cannot just say, "Nah, trust me, bro. CCleaner wasn't used for that," and expect me to believe you. I'm getting mad again. Okay, the second question asks me why I should reject the evidence in front of my eyes. Apparently, it's because their magnet forensics axiom searched the entire hard drive. They manually reviewed 250,000 images, and they fucking OT'd with their stupid keyword search, and nothing was found. I don't know what to say about this terrible answer. I know I said that the report doesn't say this again, but this is a completely different PDF file, so it's fine. All right, it's fine. Take it easy on me. But once again, the examiner states that they searched through the hard drive. It's just almost impossible for me to believe that a rich gamer, one, only has one drive on his computer, and two, only a hard drive on his computer. Modern games require an SSD for optimal gaming. There are some games that simply will not run without the SSD. So what are we talking about here? That's not possible. That's not a gaming PC. Okay, question 3 talks about more bullshit. They say that the volume shadow copies were recreated on this PC alongside all the other files, but like always, they just expect me to believe their "trust me, bro." Dude, all they had to say was why they got deleted. What happened? Was it, they could have just easily said it was a Windows update, because a Windows update would cause something like this. But they don't. If they just said why, I wouldn't be eyeing the CCleaner. Question 4 helps us understand that the examiner was able to review files all the way back to July 20th, 2022. That's kind of fat because, oh shit, oh my god. But that's kind of fat because everything else they've told us in the previous report has told us that there hasn't been anything that existed before February 26th. Now we're getting some more information that some files did exist before that time, all the way back to July 20th, 2022. But here's the problem. What were these files? They weren't memory and system files. They weren't volume shadow copies. They weren't system volume information and file system activity. What were these files? I think it's safe to assume that it was what was found in the windows.o directory, so some of the ntuser.dat hive information. But they also state a little bit that gaming programs were some of the images that were found on the drive. So it could also just be files from video games that he downloaded that dated all the way back to 2022. If it is the NT-user information, that's still a limitation. If it's the games, that fucking means nothing to me, but it's also hard to believe that none of those are hentai games if he says he fucking plays 20 of them at it. Relax, it's not that serious, dude. It's not that serious, okay? If it is the NT user information, this is still a limitation because the information is not complete. It's not a complete history log of the computer. Actually, it just contains traces of recent files, folders, and app uses, some other things like that. But entries of the NT user information often get rolled over, overwritten, or are never even recorded in the first place. And this is just me assuming that this is the NT user information. I don't know because they don't tell us anything in this report. Man, the 5th question is rough. They tried defending Lacari's use of CCleaner because 1, they found no evidence that indicates a cover-up, and that 2, that CCleaner being downloaded and then the system files resetting is just consistent with normal PC maintenance. Okay, I think they just finally admitted it without saying it. I think CCleaner was used to reset the system files. It sounds bad when you say that, so I think they added some cushioning in there by also saying that this is just what happens when you want to maintain your PC's health, dude. All your files get deleted. Okay, so I mean, yes, that is technically true. CCleaner is a legit service that many people across the world use. But Lacari has had this PC for years, right? We understand that. His first time downloading CCleaner was a month after the fact he was caught with disturbing content on his Notepad, and 2 months before submitting his PC. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's fair to label that as regular PC maintenance. That's just downplaying the evidence that's in front of our eyes. You're really asking me to just reject that information. On its own, yes, downloading CCleaner isn't necessarily a problem, but downloading CCleaner a month after we saw a mega link on your Notepad, or I'm sorry, I'm like talking to you directly, on his Notepad that seems to have contained CSAM is not something that regular people go through. It isn't. We can't label that as regular PC maintenance. No, because again, he also had this PC for years beforehand. So why did he download CCleaner right after the incident? Moving on, question 6 is more CCleaner bullshit that I already covered. So skipping that one. Question 7 is just a condensed version of the report, which the answer does not actually properly answer the question, in my opinion. There are so many files that I have questions about throughout this entire video, and the examiner chooses to answer this question like this as a summary. Yeah, all right. Question 8 lets the reader know that no illegal content or disturbing content was found. Not sure why they separate CSAM and illegal content, but I'll condense it with my own words. My issue with this FAQ is that disturbing content is not a legal term. It doesn't have a proper legal definition. Lolly content to me is considered disturbing, but to the person next to me, maybe Luigi over here, may not find it disturbing. Fucking freak. So the point I'm trying to make is, what does the firm believe? What do they consider disturbing? I don't like that they're using this subjective term in this supposed objective report. Oh my god! Question 9 just makes them sound like a broken record because we already went over this. And question 10 basically tells us to trust them because it's illegal if they lie. Yeah, like legal loopholes aren't used all the time in the court of law, okay? That right there basically covers Lacari's entire defense. He only had a 5-minute response and wanted the report to do all the heavy lifting, I guess. So we covered the entire report. If you want to believe it, you are more than welcome to. I do not think that the inconsistencies in the story and in the report are indicative of illegal activity, but it does make it very hard to trust them. Lacari lied about giving the firm all of his hardware. He lied about them checking all of his devices. We don't even know if the PC that was checked is the one in question. Months passed after the Notepad incident before he even submitted his PC. During those months, he downloaded CCleaner and Specky to maintain his PC. And honestly, this entire report kind kind of pisses me off. You can form whatever opinion you want on the information I am covering here. I don't want people to think that I want to believe that he was consuming terrible content like that, which I'm not. I've stated it several times. I do not believe that he was actually consuming it. But his response and this entire report is one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. But maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I'm just wrong. If you guys discover something that I may have missed or want to inform me of something that I just got wrong, please let me know. But besides that, I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. And remember, porn's really bad for you. Bye.